Joining in the round. For the beginner's rib hat, I've had you knit several rows so that it's really easy to join in the round without getting your cast on twisted. For a regular cast on, when you've just cast on and you haven't knit anything before joining in the round, it's really easy to get things twisted. So here we've got this is twisted. It starts off with the yarn on the outside, it comes to the inside, and then there's a half twist here. That would create a very, it wouldn't create a tube when you knit if you were to join at this point. When you're joining in the round, you want to make sure that all the cast on edge is toward the center. It's a little bit difficult, especially when you have a much larger cast on, to maintain this. It's best if you put it down on a flat surface, arrange everything, and then pick it up and start knitting. You can put a marker, as you know my favorite marker to use is just a piece of yarn, and then you can start working. Here I'm going to knit then I'm going to purl, and after the second stitch I take, I'm going to give it a really good tug so that there isn't a big space there. Then I'm going to do another stitch and give it another tug, and then I'm just going to keep working. That's how you would do it if you were knitting in the round and you'd just cast on. But as I said, it's really easy to get that twisted. When you have several rows done, it's really hard to get it twisted, because if it is twisted, it's very obvious. You'd have this huge fold like this, and then that fold would persist and you'd have a very wonky piece of knitting and it wouldn't be a hat. So make sure that all of your knitted fabric already is on the same side of your needle. Bring the needle tips together after having spread the stitches out along the length of the needle. Make sure the yarn isn't going in between, in the middle of the knitting, so it should be outside of that circle. Take a piece of yarn or any kind of a stitch marker and start working just like we did there. You need to do a couple of stitches, give it a really good tug, do another stitch, give it a nice tug, and then just keep working normally all the way around. There's still a little bit of looseness here, but that will work itself out to some extent, and also when you're weaving in your ends you'll be able to fix that. So that is the regular cast on, or the regular joining. Another method to tighten this join is to put the last stitch you worked on the right hand onto a cable needle and bring it to the front. Then work the first stitch on the left hand needle with whatever stitch would have been worked for that last stitch. So in this case it's a purl. Then either work off the cable needle or put the stitch back on the left hand needle and work whatever the first stitch is, in this case a knit. Then we do another knit stitch. In this case we work the next stitch, give it a good tug, and see that join is much more secure. And then you can just work around. The same cable method works when you're joining right after your cast on. Take that last stitch that you cast on, put it on a cable needle, work the first stitch in whatever the last stitch of the row is going to be, or you can just knit it and it will disappear because it's being crossed in the back. Work that very first stitch and then keep going. So whether you're starting with a good chunk of fabric on your needle before you join or right from the start, you can. And now you've joined in the round and you can just keep working, always working on the right side, and just keep going until you have a nice hat almost done. In the case of this class hat, you want to work until you have 8.5 inches or so worked below your needle, and then we're going to start decreases.